Pittsburgh Trivia is a production of Warrior House Media.
Welcome to Pittsburgh Trivia with your host, Jim Cannon, where uncovering the crazy truth and trivia about Pittsburgh is just the beginning. And who knows, you may even learn a few things in the process. We know life can get pretty interesting around Pittsburgh. Speaking of interesting, did you know that?
Hi, and welcome to Pittsburgh Trivia, an interactive show that will test your knowledge of all things Pittsburgh and the surrounding region. I'm your host, Jim Cannon. Thanks for joining me. Before we get started, please note our website, pittsburghtriviapodcast.com, where you can go to find the latest episode. And you can also subscribe to be notified when those episodes are posted. The show is absolutely free. So here's how Pittsburgh Trivia works. There are 3 rounds. The first round consists of 5 random questions, most of them pretty easy. The second round is another 5 questions, though slightly more challenging material. And the final round is just one much tougher bonus question. That's a grand total of 11 questions in all. For each round, I will read the question and give a 5-second pause before going on to the next one. At the end of each round, I'll repeat each question before revealing the answers, along with some supplemental information. See, you can have fun and learn some things too. So those are the rules. If you're ready, let's get started. Round 1, question 1. Iron City Brewery was the first company to use these, manufactured by Alcoa, under a license from the inventor. Question 2. Born Michael John Douglas, this well-known film actor got his start on the Mr. Rogers TV show as one of the Flying Zucchini Brothers. His film characters have included Carter Hayes in 1990's Pacific Heights, Chick Hicks in Pixar's 2006 animated film Cars, a stay-at-home dad named Jack Butler, and he even portrayed The Dark Knight. Name the actor. Question 3. Though not unique to the city, the Pittsburgh salad includes what topping? Question 4. We use them all the time, specifically with text messages, but the first one is credited to computer scientist Scott Fahlman at Carnegie Mellon University in 1982. What are they? And question 5. This baseball legend, nay, baseball god, hit the last 3 home runs of his career at Forbes Field on May 25th, 1935. And that's it for round 1 questions. We're going to go back and check the answers. I hope they weren't too tough. Just a quick reminder, the show survives because of you, the listener. So if you're enjoying Pittsburgh Trivia, please hit the like button and subscribe to the show. It's completely free. Thank you for doing that. So now we're going to go back and check the round 1 answers. Question 1. Iron City Brewery was the first company to use these, manufactured by Alcoa, under a license from the inventor. Those were pull tabs for aluminum cans. When they debuted, they were called zip tops because of the elongated pieces that you had to pull back to open the beverage. A guy named Ermel Fraze in Ohio actually came up with the design, and he licensed it to Alcoa in 1962. They tried it on Iron City beer, and once it caught on, the pull tabs were used everywhere. The trend didn't last long because of complaints about how sharp the edges were. And in the 1970s, can manufacturers started gravitating toward a different can top. Question 2. Born Michael John Douglas, this well-known film actor got his start on the Mr. Rogers TV show as one of the Flying Zucchini Brothers. His characters have included Carter Hayes in 1990's Pacific Heights, Chick Hicks in Pixar's 2006 film Cars, a stay-at-home dad named Jack Butler, and he even portrayed The Dark Knight. Name the actor. Michael Keaton. He was born in Kennedy Township and raised in the Coriopolis, Robinson Township area. He graduated from Montour High School in 1969. He got his start on public TV in Pittsburgh as a production assistant on the Mr. Rogers Show. And also, as mentioned in the question, he was part of the Flying Zucchini Brothers where he and the other members portrayed a stunt performance troupe on The Mr. Rogers Show. He left Pittsburgh, headed to Los Angeles, and his career took off. Question 3. Though not unique to the city, the Pittsburgh salad includes what topping? French fries. It kind of defeats the purpose of all the healthy stuff, doesn't it? But man, does it taste good. And question 4. We use them all the time, specifically with text messages. But the first one is credited to computer scientist Scott Fahlman at Carnegie Mellon University in 1982. What are they? The answer is emoticons. And the first one was the well-known smiley face using a colon dash and a parens. He was looking for some way to note sarcasm or humor on the university's online bulletin board and came up with the combination that made the well-known smiley face. Now, for those really interested in the history of emoticons, believe it or not, there is a debate about the first use of the smiley face. It actually goes as far back as the 1600s. But the one Fahlman posted was meant to both communicate emotion and to replace language, so that's why he gets the credit for the first emoticon. In question 5, this baseball legend hit the last 3 home runs of his career at Forbes Field on May 25th, 1935. Who was it? It was Babe Ruth. Babe went 4 for 4, including home runs 712, 713, and 714. That 714th homer was a record that stood for 49 years until Hank Aaron topped it in April of 1974. And that's it for the round 1 questions. Now on to round 2 with 5 more questions about Pittsburgh. Get ready, and here we go. Round 2, question 1. Opened January 1st, 1847 by a Catholic congregation from Ireland, this hospital is the oldest one in Pittsburgh. Question 2. When Forbes Field opened in 1909, it was the first baseball stadium to utilize what in its construction? Question 3. Founded in 1957 in Youngstown, Ohio, this chain existed until 1999 when it was bought by Ames, which itself went out of business in 2002. One of its famous jingles was, "Blank is where the toys are." What was the chain? Question 4. Named after both a town in England and the Pittsburgh neighborhood it once served, now part of the South Side, the 22nd Street Bridge is also called this. Question 5. You might have heard of 3 of the 5 Howard brothers, Moe, Curly, and Shemp, better known as the Three Stooges. But their real last name was Horwitz. One of their non-acting brothers, Jack Howard, lived in this neighborhood in the eastern part of Pittsburgh. That's it for the round 2 questions. We're going to jump back and check the answers to see how you did. Round 2, question 1. Opened January 1st, 1847 by a Catholic congregation from Ireland, this hospital is the oldest one in Pittsburgh. That would be Mercy Hospital. The hospital was started by the Sisters of Mercy, a religious congregation formed in 1831. Mercy Hospital was the first teaching hospital in the region, with resident physicians in training in 1848, and they ended up merging with UPMC in 2008. Question 2. When Forbes Field opened in 1909, it was the first baseball stadium to utilize what in its construction? And the answer is poured concrete and steel. Most of the sports venues or fields at that time dedicated to baseball were made of wood or a combination of wood and steel. But Pirates owner Barney Dreyfuss wanted the best. And so for the hefty sum of $1 million, yeah, that's what it cost back then, he got the most modern baseball stadium of the day. It had a pretty good run from 1909 until its demolition in 1971. If you're a Forbes fan or just dig that history, part of the left field wall is still standing. It's located on Shenley Drive, right before you go over the Shenley Park Bridge to get to Phipps Conservatory. And home plate is on display in roughly its original location inside Wesley Posvar Hall, which is part of the University of Pittsburgh. Question 3, founded in 1957 in Youngstown, Ohio. This chain existed until 1999 when it was bought by Ames, which itself went out of business in 2002. One of its famous jingles was "Blank is where the toys are." What was the chain? Hills. It's a really busy and sad story like so many other retail chains. Buyouts, taking on too much debt, changes in leadership, yada, yada, yada. They all contributed to the chain's demise. I still remember the Hills that was located in Bethel Park over on Oxford Drive. It's now a Home Depot. But I recently saw a story, maybe not all that credible, that someone wants to try bringing back the name. So there's hope for all of you Hills diehards out there. Question 4, named after both a town in England and the Pittsburgh neighborhood it once served, now part of the South Side, the 22nd Street Bridge is also called this. And that would be the Birmingham Bridge. The Birmingham Bridge was built in 1976, and it was built to replace the South 22nd Street Bridge, aka the Brady Street Bridge, which was demolished on May 29th, 1978. And I didn't know this, maybe some of you slightly more seasoned listeners might, but about a week before the original bridge was demolished, a construction worker got his leg pinned near the top of the bridge span. Emergency personnel tried a few times to free him, but they couldn't, so they hoisted a surgeon up there who then performed an on-site amputation. Question 5. You might have heard of 3 of the 5 Howard brothers, Moe, Curly, and Shemp, better known as the Three Stooges, but their real last name was Horwitz. One of their non-acting brothers, Jack Howard, lived in this neighborhood in the eastern part of Pittsburgh. That is Squirrel Hill. Irving was the oldest of the brothers and the only one to retain the Horwitz name. Jack, who adopted the Howard name, was the second son, and he was in the insurance business. He was just sort of a regular guy. And some of you might be wondering, what about Larry, the other stooge? Well, Larry's last name was Feinberg, and he was not actually related to the other stooges. And that's it for round 2. I just want to remind you, if you are enjoying the show, to please hit that like button. And if you want to stay up to date on upcoming episodes, head over to the website at pittsburghtriviapodcast.com. All right, so here we go with the final question. In 1918, Pittsburgh City Councilman Robert Garland, while also working as the manager for the Western Pennsylvania War Resources Committee, persuaded Congress to do this, a move Garland believed would increase productivity and open up more recreational activities for people. And the answer is daylight saving time. So during the First World War, Garland had visited England. Well, Germany had enacted this concept in 1916 as a way to conserve their coal resources, and a bunch of European countries, including England, followed suit. Garland came back to the U.S. and sold the idea to Congress as an economic benefit. In 1918, Congress passed it, and Woodrow Wilson signed it into law. Then the next year, due to objections from farmers, the law was repealed. In 1942, it was signed back into law, and, yeah, you guessed it, after the war, it was repealed. Then in 1966, it became federal law, and has been there ever since. But Robert Garland has been called the father of daylight saving time. And that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, had some fun, and learned something while listening and playing along. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
What? You're never gonna believe this. we'll leave that nugget for next time. So if you want more wacky Pittsburgh trivia, be sure to subscribe and we'll invite you back to our next episode. But if you just can't wait, visit our website at pittsburghtriviapodcast.com, where we think Pittsburgh trivia isn't trivial.